and Uganda coming your way. We also have the latest details of the nurses' strikes that have now paralyzed operations in various public hospitals in and around the country. We have the latest, of course, coming in from different countries in Africa, and of course, doping stories from the global front in the sports bulletin. All that and more coming your way here on KTN Newsdesk. Let's begin with the highlights. Nandi County doctors down tools as strike bites in 3 counties. Parliament set to debate controversial KDF Amendment Bill. South Sudan President Salva Kiir rejects peace deal as deadline lapses. I'm Betty Kialo. Now, nurses in Nandi County have downed their tools, paralyzing operations at the Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. Security officers have been deployed to guard the premises, and patients visiting the facility are being turned away. While the nurses join other colleagues from Nyeri and Uasin Gishu counties, operations in several hospitals in those counties remain paralyzed. The nurses are pushing for better working conditions. The workers are also demanding a pay rise. They are accusing their respective county governments of failing to address their concerns. Union officials are accusing the county administration of failing to effect promotions and ensuring timely remittance of their statutory deductions. County government officials have promised to address their grievances. Are now joined by Agnes Owangeshi Munderu. She is the National Treasurer at the Kenya National Union of Nurses, to give us a detailed outlook of what's happening in our public hospitals. Thank you very much, Agnes, for joining us. She's joining us from the City Center studio. The first thing, why all these strikes, in the last couple of weeks?
Because the government the county government are unable to manage the health sector. For instance, they are even unable to pay the salaries. And if you don't pay the salaries, what do you expect the staff to do? These people all have families, they have house rents to pay, so we expect it.
We seem to have a problem connecting to Agnes Munderu, but we will try and get her in a short while. But for now, governors have faulted the health bill, saying they want specific clauses in the bill redrafted. In a petition to the National Assembly's Committee on Health, the governors claim the health bill as drafted does not recognize the 2 levels of government, while they claim the bill does not take into account that health functions have been devolved to county governments and want the bill amended before it's approved. The governors claim the bill as drafted infringes on the functions of county governments. We'll have details of that in a short while. But proposals have been made to transform the Kenyan military into a more powerful and independent force. Well, the Kenya Defense Forces Amendment Bill is currently before the National Assembly, and members will have a chance to scrutinize it this afternoon. Should it pass, then the KDF will acquire sweeping powers and financial independence, as KTN's Erin Ocheng now reports.
Kenya may see drastic changes in the military and governing structures that will see a more powerful and independent military if MPs adopt an amendment to the law that gives the military sweeping powers and financial independence, as well as drastically limiting the role of Defense Cabinet Secretary. The Kenya Defense Forces Amendment Bill 2015, currently before the National Assembly, seeks to give the military enhanced financial autonomy by providing its independent vote away from the ministry, appropriated by the National Assembly, and which shall not be audited by the Auditor General.
I think the CS should be able to exercise oversight over the military. In all democracies worldwide, the civilian oversight is always necessary to maintain balance in a democracy. And that balance has to be maintained. Even when we are growing our democracy, this is not the time to interfere with that balance.
Critics to the bill say the proposed law is not just a horrendous piece, but an attempt to overthrow the constitution and democratic state, as it provides room for siphoning of public funds and must be rejected on arrival.
So if you shield any part of the government from oversight by Parliament, you are giving a license to rob the country. And to that extent, that should not be acceptable to the Republic.
Currently, the law provides that the funds to the Kenya Defence Forces shall be in a separate vote under the Defence Ministry. The bill seeks to remove the role of Parliament in assigning the Cabinet Secretary defence functions. It removes the requirement for the CS to report to the President and Parliament on compliance with the policies and directions.
We will ensure that the KDF Amendment Bill speaks to the deficiencies within the KDF, speaks to the deficiencies within the military system in this republic, and also speaks to the deficiencies that would seek to undermine the security of the people of the republic.
This essentially reduces the role of the Cabinet Secretary to periphery ceremonial at best, and substantially increases the powers of the Chief of Defence Forces, even as it provides avenues, if any, for scrapping the ministry, because the Defence Forces will then be required to report directly to the President and Parliament if MPs enact the bill.
I wouldn't imagine that anyone would want to give KDF roles that are not specified in the Constitution. In any case, if you are tempted to make, we have seen it before, if you've tempted to make a law which contravenes the Constitution, it is faulty ab initio. So really, I think the best thing is to wait for that bill to come to Parliament.
But Parliament, Defence and Foreign Affairs Chairman Ndungu Githinji has lashed out at political leaders opposing the bill, saying they are commenting on imaginations since the bill is yet to be committed to the floor of the National Assembly.
Standing orders prevent us from preempting debate and discussing the contents. We are yet even to formally receive it as a committee. And I am sure once we do, we will, the members of the Committee of Defence and Foreign Relations are astute leaders in their own right, and they will pay due attention to all considerations.
However, other lawmakers say they will consider public sensitivity over the bill before passing or rejecting it. Aaron Ocheng, KTN News.
Now going back to our top story, nurses in Nandi County have downed their tools, paralyzing operations at Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, where security officers have been deployed to guard the premises, and patients visiting the facility are currently being turned away. Like I promised, we now have Agnes Wangeshi Mundaru, who is the National Treasurer at the Kenya National Union of Nurses. Agnes, thank you very much for joining us. The first question, why all these strikes in the last couple of days, and now we have Nandi County joining in on that particular list?
Yeah, the strikes we are witnessing will continue for as long as there are no structures in the county government. When they devolved the health, they said that they were ready. The county government said that they were ready to manage health. But what we are seeing now is a contrast, because they are even unable to pay their salaries. How do they expect the staff to survive without salaries? They gave a circular at the beginning of this month that the salaries will be delayed. But I thought the circulars were given to the wrong people. They should give the circulars to the supermarkets, to the schools, to the matatos, because the matatos and the rados don't know that your salary is delayed. So they have actually reduced our staff to hawkers. It's like we are working like cashews.
You've mentioned something to do with, the government. Do you think that, this indications, will maybe boil down to some of these functions being taken back to the national government? Do you think that could be a solution?
We have always said from the beginning that we want the human resource to be managed by the national government, because once you pay the staffs, you have already motivated them. But if you don't pay the staffs, then the services will have to be down. So if the human resource was taken back to the national government, I am sure they would have paid their staffs. I am working, for example, at Madara National Teaching and Lipalo Hospital, which was actually not devolved, and I was able to get my salary in time. So I also believe if the others are managed by the national government, they will be able to get their salaries on time, and these types of strikes will not be witnessed.
Now, Agnes, yesterday it was Nyeri and Uasin Gishu counties. Today, Nandi County has joined the list, like I mentioned. Are we likely to see more and more counties, or nurses across the country joining in on the strike from where you sit?
In fact, this is just a beginning. Yesterday, we went to Kajiado, and if we would have told them to come out yesterday, they didn't even want us to give a notice. They wanted to come out, so we have given a 7-day strike, so they'll be coming out next week on Tuesday. Nairobi gave a strike notice yesterday, so they'll be coming out next week. So this is just a beginning, and we are warning, we expect a lot more. Our Kenyans are going to suffer, because it's actually the common person who is suffering. It is not those who are in power.
Agnes, what exactly are your complaints? Of course, you've talked about the July salaries being, taking too long to, to come to be paid, to the workers. But what other complaints do you have as a union?
The other complaints we have is, since the county governments took over the health sector, there hasn't been any promotions. People have stagnated from where they left the national government, so nobody has moved from any job group to another one. Like for example, if you want we went to school and did an upgrading course, your status have not changed. The TSU is what it was before. You have not been designated. So actually, promotions, redesignations, if you want to move from one county to another, it is not possible. And harmonization of salaries and other services, because allowances. When the national government devolved the health sector to the county government, we found people who were already working in the county governments before, like the local government workers, who had their salaries, and those ones who are devolved are a total contrast. You find a doctor who is working with the national government, who was actually devolved to the county, is getting a house allowance of 12,000, and the supporting staff who is working at the county is getting 17,000. Really, how do we expect these people to perform the same duties at the same level?
Agnes, do you think there's ever going to be an end to this? Because, this keeps on recurring time and time again. Or, nurses going on strike. Now we have, 3 counties already where, health services have been paralyzed. Are we likely to have an end to this, especially thinking about the future and what is happening in the counties?
The end to this will only come if the government is able to see what its countrymen are going through. The ball starts at the door of the Mr. President, and we are asking Mr. President, our humble request that Kenyans are suffering. It is time to listen to the cries of the Kenyans, and I can assure you that unless health sector, the human resource is taken back to the government and structures are put into place, I am telling you that Kenyans would embrace for worse times than even what we are experiencing today. This one I can assure you, because for so long as the staffs are demoralized, you don't expect them to give services.
Agnes, are you saying that, until your demands are met, patients in hospitals, will continue to suffer?
Yes, I can assure you that, because it was not timely. Kenya is not ready for devolved health. We are not ready for devolution. We did it hastily without considering its effects of the common person.
Right. Thank you very much, Agnes Munderu, who is the National Treasurer at the Kenya National Union of Nurses, giving us an outlook from their end of what has become, a complete crisis in the health sector. 3 counties, that is Nyeri, Uasin Gishu, and of course Nandi County today, have gone on strike. Patients have been turned away and have been told to keep off hospitals because they cannot receive any kind of medical assistance. We'll keep following that developing story for you. Now, moving on, the National Assembly will this afternoon debate a report of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture on the crisis facing the sugar industry in Kenya. Well, the report was laid on the table of the House in March this year and probed the alleged mismanagement of Mumia Sugar Company, which led to the near collapse of the leading sugar miller.
The government of Kenya's decision to import an unspecified amount of sugar from Uganda has raised a political storm, with the opposition and the ruling coalition exchanging bitter words over the deal that has turned sour. And even before the heat settles, the National Assembly will become another theatre of the sugar wars as members debate a report of the Departmental Committee on Agriculture that investigated the crisis facing the sugar industry in Kenya. The probe followed a report by an audit firm that fingered the former management of Mumia Sugar Company for mismanaging the former blue-chip company to near collapse.
The issue of Mumia Sugar Company is so complex. Ikiwa serikali haitasikiza sisi watetezi wa wanyonge, mtatumia mbinu ambazo hazitakuwa suluhu to the problem of Mumias. What do I mean? We, the leaders of the Luo Nation, we are saying Mumias should never die. Na nakuambia Mheshimiwa Deputy President, ili Mumias iendelee, the solution is not one. Mumias lazima serikali iungane na mimi vile nimefungua vita kwa wale watu ambao walipora Mumia Sugar Company. You must support you.
The report exposed shady deals by the former management who benefited from the sugar deals.
Shida ya sukari ya Kenya, shida ya wakulima ya sukari ya Kenya. Sio sukari ya Kenya iko na matatizo, sio sukari ya Uganda iko na matatizo, sio ni sukari ambayo inatoka Brazil, sukari ambayo inatoka nchi ambazo wana subsidize their farmers. Sio kama tunaelewana. Na hiyo sukari inaletwa ikifika hapa inawekwa kwa mifugo ya Mumias ama inawekwa kwa mifugo ya kampuni ya Uganda, inapelekwa kwa supermarket. Ile miwa ya mwananchi inaoza shambani kwa sababu ile kiosk na supermarket imejazwa sukari imetoka nchi zingine.
Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero, who was the former Chief Executive Officer of Mumia Sugar Company before resigning and contesting the governorship, has denied mismanaging the company. Kidero has insisted the company made profits during his watch. Already, Ugunja Member of Parliament James Wandai has issued notice to move several amendments to the report that will widen the net and ensure those who are suspected to have aided and abetted the raping of Mumia Sugar Company to near collapse are punished. Wandai is proposing to have stiff legal action taken against all the managing directors, transport managers, commercial directors, finance directors, national sales managers, procurement managers and other officials who were in the board of management of Mumia Sugar Company between 2011 and 2013 for the losses incurred by the company. Wandai also wants disciplinary action taken against the staff of Mumia Sugar Company who failed to adhere to company policy on pricing, discounts, recruitment, and management of distributors and management of inter-warehouse transfers at Mumia Sugar Company. Some of the other stiffer measures proposed by Uganda MP include taking disciplinary action against staff of Mumia Sugar Company who approved and paid extra invoices to some companies like Millicons without first obtaining cost estimates and approval of the Management Tender Committee of Mumia Sugar Company. Wandai also wants all distributor and transport contracts of Mumia Sugar Company to be reviewed immediately. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
South Sudan President Salva Kiir failed to sign a peace deal proposed by regional leaders and saying he required more time. The agreement was, however, signed by representatives of the opposition and former detainees of South Sudan, as well as by other stakeholders, towards ending the more than 20-month conflict.
Despite efforts by regional leaders to hammer out a deal, talks on peace process in South Sudan ended without a complete peace deal reached between rival parties in Ethiopia. President Salva Kiir failed to sign the deal proposed by IGAD, saying his government required 2 weeks before signing the peace agreement that was accepted by the South Sudanese rebels. The government delegation led by President Kiir will make consultations with constituencies to come back in 2 weeks' time to complete the agreement. A move that former Vice President Riek Machar termed surprising.
We had hoped President Kiir was going to sign. In actual fact, I didn't know that he was not going to sign, because when I came to the room, I met him here, greeted him before we signed. But then, after 10 minutes, I was told he wasn't signing. I couldn't find any explanation, because he had it all.
The chairperson of the African Union, Nkosazana Zuma, said the signing was an important step forward into the political deadlock.
I would like to say the AU Commission, we are very happy that we have taken another step towards achieving peace. Of course, as everyone has said, it's not a complete step because other parties have signed, but we still need one more. But we are hopeful because the initialing was done, so we're hopeful that in the next coming days the consultations will be made and finally there will be a complete agreement.
Meanwhile, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Haile Mariam Desalegn, who is also chairperson of IGAD, said he would encourage the South Sudan government to sign the document.
Some of us were in the range of losing hope, but at last we have got hope that the government side will deal with the issue in the coming 2 weeks and come up and sign the agreement.
We're all here, not just for the people in this room, but for the millions of South Sudanese who are looking out in hope that at least, if nothing else, and even if there are still some details to be worked out, they will have peace.
The international community had threatened sanctions if the factions failed to sign a peace deal by yesterday.
Still on that, the United States said it deeply regrets South Sudan's failure to sign a peace proposal by Monday's deadline and urged it to sign within 15 days. The U.S. says it will look at how to raise pressure on those opposing the pact. South Sudan President Salva Kiir declined to sign a peace deal proposed by regional leaders on Monday, saying he required more time.
We welcome the signing of the peace agreement by the opposition leader, Riek Machar, and other parties and stakeholders. The United States deeply regrets that the government of South Sudan chose not to sign an agreement that was supported by all of the states in the IGAD, plus the Troika, the United States, United Kingdom, and Norway, China, the African Union, and the United Nations today. We call on the government to sign the agreement within the 15-day period it requested for consultations, and as the President has stated, if there was no agreement signed today, we would consider ways to raise the cost for intransigence. We're going to work with our regional and international partners on next steps and on ways to increase pressure, especially against those that are undermining the peace process or opposing this agreement.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's now take a recap of our top story this afternoon. And nurses in Nandi County have downed their tools, paralyzing operations at Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. Security officers have been deployed to guard the premises, and patients visiting the facility are being turned away. While the nurses joined their colleagues from Nyeri and Uasin Gishu counties, operations in several hospitals in those counties remain paralyzed as nurses continue to push for better working conditions. Moving on to Uganda, several protesters were arrested in that country while demonstrating against the passing of a law giving President Yoweri Museveni powers to appoint the chairman of the Electoral Commission. Well, here are the details.
The youths caught the sleeping policemen off guard and managed to enter the restricted Constitutional Square at about 9 a.m. The police officers woke up in time to stop the demonstrators, arresting 3, including Robin Woblembo, Nangalama Dixon, and another unidentified protester. They were detained at the adjacent Central Police Station.
We want a new and independent commission.
The group was demonstrating against the constitution amendments that give powers to the President to appoint members of the Electoral Commission, as well as the involvement of the police and the army in elections.
Keep quiet. We shall continue. No one is going to stop us. No, we don't want the army and the police to still engage in electoral reform. We want a new and independent electoral commission. And I want you to handle me as a human being. Don't just pull me like that. Don't pull me like that. Handle me properly. Why are you pulling me? Why are you pulling me? Why are you? Why are you pulling me? What's touching me? No, I'm not touching. Why are you just pushing? Why are you just pushing? No way. You are touching me. Why are you doing this? Twagala obwenkanya ezo commission ero bagijewo ne police ne banamajje okwenyigiranga mu kulonda nako kulekeraawo. This is our country. The struggle will continue. You can beat us, you can detain us, but the struggle will continue.
The DPC Central Police Station, Mike Musani, says the group was arrested for organizing an unlawful assembly.
We are going to charge him for, first of all, being disorderly, and we are also going to charge him for inciting violence.
Government officials, they are like these chickens. They eat each and everything. This is a no-go zone area.
The police have often clashed with youth demonstrators trying to hold assemblies at the fortified Constitutional Square. Judah Mubangizi, Bunya Emmanuel, NBS Sunset.
Let's now take a look at sports. In the Beijing World Athletics Championships, a fever is yet to be felt across the world as a focus continues to be on widespread doping claims that have rocked the sport. Well, early Monday, Turkish athlete Asli Sakir Apletikhin got stripped of the 2012 Olympic women's 1500 meters gold medal for doping and banned for 8 years by the Court of Arbitration for Sport. CAS said the ruling related to abnormal values found in blood samples collected from the athlete between July 2010 and October 2012. It is said that all competitive results obtained by her since July 29, 2010 had been disqualified, including the Olympic Games 1500 meters final in London. Fellow Turkish athlete will now be elevated to gold, while Bahrain's Mariam Jamal takes the silver medal. That's where we wrap up part 1 of KTN Newsdesk. You can catch part 2 on KTN News channel. Just in case you're on the home channel, you can get us on DSTV channel 274 or Zuku channel 14 or GoTV channel 94. We have a very interesting discussion coming up about the KDF Amendment Bill 2015. You don't want to miss that. Thank you for watching.